Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I am Caleb.
Shaps.
Oh, man, that was beautiful. Well, Shaps, we have to continue our discussion because we didn't do it last week's episode on sequelitis.
Sequelitis.
Okay, it's very fatal. It's been very diagnosable, very treatable if caught early.
Remind the audience of the symptoms.
Actionized sequel. Art shift sequel. I'm just kidding. No, all right, guys. Sequelitis is movies that are the second entry in a franchise that were terrible for a number of reasons we went over.
Right.
They recast the main character for no reason. It's the same guy. Or they make up a brand new character, but he looks similar to the first guy.
They dumb it down for the children, the younger audience, or they just do the entire same movie all over again.
Yeah, same movie over again. Ghostbusters has a history of that. Bigger is better. Home Alone 2. Okay, but I managed to think of a few other, movies that did the same thing.
Yeah.
But we went over tropes. So this week we're going over tropes. We only managed to cover like one or two this time, last time. So this time we're going to be covering more of them. Okay, so I kind of want to just go in order, I suppose, but let's see. Well, there's a ton. We're not going to get through all these. Ain't going to happen.
But it's great.
Yeah.
You're on TV Tropes?
Yeah, TV Tropes. Is that .com? Yeah. .org. Ooh.
Organization.
Oh, my goodness.
How about that? They got money.
Wahoo! All right. First one. Actionized sequel. The sequel is more action-packed. You know, what movie comes to mind?
Gremlins 2.
See, I haven't seen any of them, so I can't really relate to you on that.
Not a bad movie, but definitely more action-packed. Home Alone 2 is like that.
Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
Die Hard 2 actually does get more action-packed. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's why I brought it up.
They have airplanes.
Don't hate me, but I actually think I like Die Hard 2 more than Die Hard. I died harder while watching it.
I'm dying right now.
On the inside out.
Okay, that's a hard one to take in. Don't get me wrong, I like Die Hard 2. I still watch it. You know, not as frequently, but like every once in a while I'll put it on. But you like it more? I mean, like, good for you. What do you like about it more?
I probably need to rewatch. I watched it when I was like 19, so I'm thinking if I rewatch both of them, I probably would change my mind. I know the first one's
it's
the
bigger.
original,
Like
the
it's
classic.
two is bigger.
Yeah. Now I'm just saying that's the example I would come up with for actionized sequel.
Okay.
Bigger. Okay. It's a side note that I liked it more.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't have to take what I say as fact. Opinions and viewpoints offered in this podcast are solely the opinions of the hosts and don't reflect the brand and company as a whole.
Exactly.
So please don't shoot me.
Honestly, a lot of movies that go more action heavy, I feel like have a benefit, like an edge. Like Terminator 2 went more action heavy. It was more successful.
Well, it also
Pirates
had
of the Caribbean got more action heavy.
Those movies, I feel like, had something they wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yes, there was more action.
You're talking about just a throwaway sequel.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if many examples of like throwaway sequels that get more, because typically you need a bigger budget to go more action based, and these movies don't have near the budget of the original film, so it's kind of hard to say.
Really, that's a good point. So let me look up the
maybe Jurassic Park too, because they go in the city in that one, right?
Yeah, but they only put one T-Rex in there. Hold on, Die Hard,
only one T-Rex, huh?
Die Hard 1 budget. I kind of need to verify this. Let me see.
They probably had more of a budget for 2.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about those. Well,
you can't go bigger though without the budget, unless you're like The Walking Dead.
That's what I'm saying. But most of the time,
but
most of the time, I feel like when they do go bigger, typically it's not as bad. Like it's not like Die Hard 2 is not a bad movie by any means.
No, like I said, I like the.
But I'm thinking about what kind of movie, what sequel went bigger and badder, but like wasn't nearly as good as the first one, if even good at all.
Well, we talked about Ghostbusters last time. Let me see. Let me look up the Ghostbusters one because I think they went bigger.
They did.
So let's see.
They went.
But did they have the budget for it though, or did they have budget cuts? So Ghostbusters 1.
I don't think that's how it worked back then. I think they just got more budget if it made like it was a hit.
Budget was $25 million. Now let's see Ghostbusters 2 here. $25 million. They probably had a bigger budget, to be honest with you. 30 to 40 million.
Yeah.
Oh, what a waste of money that was. I don't know.
I've seen them. Like
it's
twice.
50-50.
Yeah.
I can't think of any that jumps out at me that comes to mind where I was like, they had a...
There's got to be a horror movie out there that like sucked really bad because it like went bigger. because I got a bigger budget, you know?
Probably think of any of the Conjuring movies, you know, but Conjuring 2 is really
Paranormal
good.
Activity is a good one.
Okay.
They went bigger, and
they did go bigger
because they had a much bigger budget than the first film, because that was like a budget of a cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
And then the second one, they were like, oh my gosh, this makes so much money. And then the second one, I hear was okay, but like not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went worse and worse after.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Okay, that's that trope. Actionized sequel. Those are some good examples. You know, they just like more action. A franchise that does that well is John Wick.
Oh yeah,
all the John Wick movies got better. More,
they just made their scenes longer.
More stars, more cat, like just bigger action sequences. You know, more cars getting destroyed than just his. Like, I think they blew most of their budget on the car that was stolen. If I'm being honest with you.
Really? Oh, probably because
yeah.
I'm rewatching John Wick 1 now. I'm like, this is a much smaller movie.
Very
than the
much.
rest.
It's
Like,
tiny.
so small.
Yeah, that car they destroyed was probably where all the budget went, if I'm being honest with you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to skip a couple, but artifact title. When a title relates to the first story but not to the sequels. We brought up The Blair Witch and Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows. That's a big one. Had nothing to do with the original. Does anything else come to mind when you think of that? It has the title, but it has nothing to do.
Nothing to do with the original.
We kind of wish they'd do that with Back to the Future. Like, keep the title, but do a different story. You know what I mean? But I'm sure that there's got to be a ton where they just took the title, but it had nothing to do with anything.
Home Alone 3.
Yeah.
It's not even Kevin anymore.
I know. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, but it's the same premise. You know what I mean?
Wait, there's a Home Alone movie where he's not even at home. What is it?
Taking Back the
Taking Back the...
I mean, all the Disney ones are
Disney ones, like this direct to DVD, direct to movie or VHS or whatever.
direct to Disney Plus.
Direct
Because there's Home Alone. There's a Home Alone movie.
Right.
It kept Buzz from the original.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's
that was
it.
the only actor, I think.
Yep, that's it.
I don't think Macaulay probably didn't. He didn't even want to do it. I bet.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, they didn't even make the criminals. They were just, it was just big misunderstanding. I'm like, that's so lame.
Is that the actual movie?
No, so legitimately,
really,
yeah. So Kevin or whatever his name is, British kid.
He's a British kid.
He's a British kid.
Oh no,
he's a British kid from Jojo Rabbit. That one. Big, the chubby one. Yeah,
I remember.
He's a good actor.
Why's he got to be chubby? I'm just kidding.
Because
he is fat.
Because I'm describing him, Caleb.
I'm joking. That is a real characteristic.
Yes,
with which he has.
Thank you for setting the audience on me like that. So
this guy is not a body positive person.
No.
I need a new co-host, guys. I'm taking applications.
Definitely. That'd be wild. So no, anyway. So Kevin, he's just he's a kid who accidentally got someone who lives with him. I'm blanking a little bit. I think his brother or his cousin stole a toy from, like, a very valuable toy from this couple that wanted to sell it for money. But like, they're good people and they've never done anything wrong before, but they're like, well, we gotta just steal it. Well, I'll just steal it. And they literally like break in the house, but they're like good people and they're like comedians, but you're seeing them get like, ripped to shreds the entire movie. And it's kind of weird because like, they're not bad people. They're just like trying to do this one thing. And it was just weird because like, it wasn't Home Alone, like that's not what Home Alone is. You want to feel bad, or no, you want to feel good about, the kid fighting back, and all these traps. Like the two criminals from the first movie, they were devious. They wanted to murder that child.
But this one, they're just trying to literally get their property back.
Yeah.
They're stolen property.
They're stolen property.
What a way to alienate the audience. You're not even rooting for the main guy.
Exactly.
I bet you that's in one of these,
Yeah.
B team sequel, unless your team takes over production of the sequel. I'm sure that's every sequel. Every sequel that sucks has the B team take over. Like they get the guy that did Harry.
I mean, not every time, but like I'm thinking of like these animation movies that have the original director, original artist that sticks along, and it's not as good. Like Don Bluth had a few duds actually. I think even some sequel duds, but then you can tell like The Secret of Nim, like one of his best films. The sequel is like freaking old Disney cartoon quality, like where obviously he just took off. It has nothing to do with the original, so that's one of them. But like, I don't know. I guess you would always get the B team, but like usually one or two people would stick along just so they could put the name on it.
Right, and that kind of goes back to the artifact title one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking these. Like the one we talked about last time, Bag of Spilling. The video game sequel, a character won't keep what they've collected in the previous game.
Yeah.
Kratos is the biggest offender of such a thing. Where the first one, he has such cool weapons, and then next game, like, I mean, they had to make new ones. You know what I mean? But it's just like, where did all this other stuff go?
It's still a better. It's a better example. I think I said this last time, but like, it's still a better reason than Samus. She just gets bonked on the head and she just drops everything.
Yeah. We needed a scene where Kratos like gets bumped and he like drops everything.
Just oopsie.
Yeah, he's like, he drops all his stuff.
There was one Metroid game where she literally just left everything on the ship.
I don't need this.
No, I'm just gonna take a stroll.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Let's see.
Next one.
Breather episode. An installment that goes lighter and softer, even denser and wackier, especially when following a Wham episode. I don't know what the heck a Wham episode is. I'm going to say Wham episode is like, holy crap, stuff is hitting the fan.
Oh, you're right, because that would make sense. Because like the Wham would be like, oh my god, that character just died. And the Breather would be like the aftermath.
Yeah, very next episode
I like those episodes.
The very next episode, they go on beach episode.
No, that's a different category. That's in the filler category. I want to ask you, do you know what a bottle episode is?
No.
Interesting concept. Most people don't like it, but it actually is great.
Myself included.
But the upside to that is character development, deep character development. A good example is in Breaking Bad, the Fly episode is Vince Gilligan actually labeled it as a bottle episode. It's when you put two characters who are usually like open-ended in one contained space the entire episode. If you start thinking about it, there's a lot of shows that actually do this episode once per series, usually only do it once.
Yeah.
Where they stick two characters together and they either are surviving or they're waiting on something for the entire episode, 20, 30, 40 minutes, however long, and they actually start like opening up to each other and developing as characters.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it,
right?
But it does actually add.
That episode you're talking about, The Fly, is like highly regarded as the most diverse.
Is the most diverse. I would say diverse episode of the series, because I actually think it was really well crafted.
Sure,
as a bottle episode, it actually did its job really well. Yeah. But I'm never gonna watch it twice.
Right? Nobody likes it.
Yeah,
because you can, in a sense, you can skip it. You didn't miss anything. You know what I mean? Right. But like you said. So yeah, it does the bottle episode formula well, except nobody.
So that's the thing. It's a very interesting concept. I don't think he would have done it again. Well, he's very like in his ways, so maybe. But like, I feel like he wouldn't have done it again if he could have done it.
I was gonna say, I don't think Better Call Saul has any of those episodes.
No,
every episode.
You could argue it was the desert, but even then, things were happening. Like he was still walking. And
right. He had to drink his own pee,
and things happened around him. Like they cut back to like Kim every once in a while. So bottle episode is you do not leave this one contained space. Which, I'm not the biggest fan of either, unfortunately.
Sure, but
I'd like to say I'm an artist and I'm just like I could see beyond, what other people can see, but nah.
So Breather episode, I can't think of a movie that's done it. I can think of shows that kind of...
Oh, like a movie that displays something that, like the aftermath of something terrible that's happened?
Yeah, and then it's just like, oh, we're going lighter tone, we're going blah, blah, blah.
I don't think that's what it means. Breather is like it gives you a moment to breathe after something that big just happened.
Sure, but it says an installment that goes lighter and softer or even denser and wackier, especially when following a Wham episode.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that with movies.
Maybe not. You could almost say, you might disagree with me on this. I would say Empire to Return of the Jedi.
I thought of that too. That went darker, which was already a dark film to begin with.
Empire?
6 went darker than 5.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, because
really think about it.
The Wham part is the
Wham part is them losing.
Yeah, they lost hard.
They lost twice, so they lost the base at the very beginning.
Big revelation.
Yeah, the big revelation, and also they got their butts kicked. And then, like at the very end, though, it has kind of like a moment of hope, right?
Sure.
Episode 6, skip all the Jabba part because that doesn't actually contribute to much.
That's what I'm saying is like that's the lighter part.
That's the lighter part. But I'm talking about later on when you get to Endor. The dread that Luke has realizing that his father's here and that there's this weird tension between them. He knows what he has to do, but he doesn't know quite how he's going to do it. The conflict that Vader is feeling, and all the way up to the Emperor's throne room where he's pitting father and son against each other. And you get these heavy emotions. Luke loses himself. He's literally trying to kill his father. His father is threatening to take his sister, like... Oh my God. And the music is perfect and this darker lighting, like, oh my gosh, it feels so dreadful. Like it goes so freaking dark really quickly.
I hear you.
But Empire doesn't really it's dark, but it's not like Yoda dies in 6, dude. Like legitimately, all the dark stuff happens in 6.
There's a lot,
but people kind of forget it because of the Jabba stuff.
I guess.
If you forget about and the Ewok, yeah, that's the thing.
There's a scene where 3PO is like, "Oh my god,"
that stuff holds the film down. I mean, I still love those, but like it still holds the film down because like there are so many amazing elements in 6 that are like super adult, super heavy, and super hitting. That I still think about like every once in a while gives me goosebumps.
Sure.
Like legitimately. Luke saying never and then striking his father. I'm like, that gives me
really that's what I'm saying. I knew we disagree on that. But to me, that's what I think of. But I think this is a better example.
Yeah.
Infinity War to Endgame, the Avengers movies. Yeah. Okay. You can't go darker than Infinity War. They just that's the empire of the Avengers. They lost.
I feel like people died. I feel like the first hour or two of Endgame was the breather. It was that dread. It was the characters moping and doping around until they had the big solution.
Well, even then, the part where they're sitting around talking about, okay, so where's the stone at this point? Like they're sitting around joking, like, "Hey, Thor, what do you think?" And he fell asleep in the chair.
Infinity War would be a wham.
Yeah,
classified as a wham, and then Endgame would be first part of first. That scene's always longer than I always anticipate, but it is definitely like the breather.
Yeah.
When they're just like they're in therapy and group therapy, and talking about like the loss.
Yeah, but even then it gets goofy too.
It gets really goofy.
So that's what I'm saying. Quickly. Like that's the breather. Now, of course, the ending is the conclusion, and it goes back to dark or whatever. Tony Stark dies. Mm-hmm. Sorry, spoilers. Oops. But like, you know what I mean. But that's the breather. Another thing that comes to mind: do you ever watch the old Incredible Hulk cartoon?
No.
I love it so much. Mm-hmm. It's so the first season is so good.
Yeah,
it deals with Hulk and Banner hating each other. There's a scene where Hulk is looking in his reflection in like a stream, and as he's about to he's looking at himself and he's about to calm down, and as he's shrinking down, he sees himself turning into Bruce Banner, who he hates. He hates Banner, puny, weak Banner. Yeah. And as he's turning into Banner, he realizes, oh, shoot, I am Bruce Banner. So he gets mad and he starts punching at the water and he turns to Hulk again. And then, like, it's so dark. It's so, like, it's tough. Like, it deals with self-hatred.
Oh, yeah.
Too dark for WB. So,
dude. I mean, if you watch the Batman animated series, like it's like that same category.
Yeah, and so season 2, I'd call it a breather season because they call it the Incredible Hulk, and then they add a little and She-Hulk, and so they made She-Hulk a prominent character.
Nice.
So it had some good episodes, season 2, but overall, everyone agrees like the tone was pretty much ruined. So
I don't know. I for one love the wham to breather effect because like I love just like those real life moments when like something happens and the characters like need to figure out how they're going to deal with their emotions and like loss usually is a big contributor to it or just a change in tone, and then the breather is them just getting back to themselves usually. Now, we were talking about earlier with the beach episode, filler episodes.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite and favorite filler episode in any TV show?
I really have to think about that because I typically don't like filler at all.
And let me just like classify what filler is. Filler is something that does not contribute to the overarching story. It's simply there to fill out a season so that they can have enough episodes to make a season.
Yeah.
It does not mean nothing happens that contributes. Well, okay, so a lot of people will misorganize like a lot of Star Wars episodes as filler, like Mandalorian episodes as filler.
Yeah.
If there's character development, that's not filler.
Right.
If filler is nothing changes, nothing happens, it's just to expand the season.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone loves to just throw the freaking filler card out nowadays. But back when it meant something,
See, I don't know because I don't think I've ever liked filler, and I keep thinking back to anime. Yeah. I'm watching One Piece right now, where actually I'm watching the abbreviated version.
Oh, nice!
And it cuts out the filler, and I'm thankful because sometimes it's incomplete, right? So we got to go back to Crunchyroll and watch actual episodes. And there's like 7 minutes of new stuff per episode out of a 30-minute episode because they just put out so much padding.
Right.
And then there's filler arcs, which I definitely don't appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anime, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite and least favorite are actually in the same show.
Okay.
It's The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
The Great Divide, season 1, I think.
Oh, yeah.
When like they have to escort these two rivaling factions, these rivaling clans, through the Great Divide, which is like a dangerous path full of bandits and dangers and stuff. The filler part is because they got through the divide for whatever reason. I don't even know why they had to go through this, but they just did, right?
Yeah.
They get to the divide and Shyamalan got
Thanks,
to me.
Shyamalama Ding Dong.
Aang was basically like, okay, I'm going to sell this right now because he was tired of them fighting. he basically went into the history. He's like, I'm 100 years old. I know exactly what happened to your clans. It was all a big misunderstanding, essentially.
Yeah.
And there was no war to begin with. And they're like, oh my God, you're right. We can be friends at the very end. Katara's like, oh my God, Aang, that's very, very mature of you, you know? And he was like, actually, I made it all up. I just lied.
Yeah.
That was like, and then they were laughing it off. I'm like, that's a big betrayal to all their characters, and also they didn't learn anything and change at all. That's a bad filler. A good filler though.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to.
Oh, you probably do.
Let me predict here. So I'm glad you brought up Last Airbender because the cartoon. Okay, let's clarify here.
That is the only form of Avatar I know, and ever will be, right?
Netflix. Yeah. Shout out to episode 2. But no. Are you referring to the theater episode?
Yes.
Okay, so Good Filler was a theater episode where they're watching everyone get ripped off and parodied. They cast the tiny little girl as a big strong man, you know. But it was. Why would you say it's good though?
Right, because it takes place really close or right before the big finale.
Yep.
Which is a good breather.
Sure.
But also it serves as not only a comedic, shift, but also like, that's the breather part. It serves as a great reminder because it's not only just showing you, just like funny interpretations of characters. It's recapping you on all the big important things that's happened in a very clever way. And at the very end, it actually kind of adds a little bit more to Aang's character because at the very end, it's revealed that this whole play is put on by the Fire Nation, that it's propaganda for the Fire Nation's success. So Aang gets like this revelation, holy crap, these people are voting for my demise. They wanted my demise, and I actually might die in this. That's at the tail end of this, though. But the whole time, they're just kind of like laughing and goofing. And, they share some emotions, a little bit of character building throughout it, but it serves as a big recap before the grand finale. I'm like, that is perfect.
Right.
That is beautiful. Like, genius, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there was, and here's the thing, the second show, Legend of Korra, had almost arguably an even worse filler episode, otherwise known as a clip show. Do you know what a clip show is?
No.
A clip show is essentially, a lot of sitcoms do it, where they have like 100 episodes or whatever, they will show the best of all the different episodes. That's all a clip show is. Legend of Korra, and the animators literally came on and said, we had to put this episode out. We had nothing else.
Yeah.
They did a clip show recap where it was like storyboard style, showing like all the characters talking about, oh my God, remember when this happened? It was basically like the great couch gag episode where Peter's like, remember the time? And like, it was that the entire episode. Remember the time we did this? And it was like little pictures of them doing the things they're talking about.
Oh, no.
And it was like, it was terrible. And they said, it was the worst episode ever, but they had to put it out. They were forced to do it by Nickelodeon and whoever. Like, because like, I guess they didn't have enough content or something to put out for the full season.
God forbid we make a shorter show that says a lot more.
you have to look up the story, but because like the creators are not proud of it at all. But like that's an even like almost worse one.
Yeah,
the Great Divide, because the Great Divide actually harms the characters. The clip show is just a clip show. Like everyone hates a clip show.
Right. Okay. Well, moving on from that one. That was a good discussion, but we got several hundred more tropes to go through by the end of this episode. Let's see here. Capcom, are you familiar with
Street Fighter?
Yeah. Capcom sequel stagnation. When a game gets released many times with small changes between versions. A good example of this, which you may not even have heard of it, but the Dynasty Warriors series.
Dude, I love Dynasty Warriors.
But
that's Sega though.
Yeah, but the trope is like because Capcom made it popular.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? But the trope is Capcom sequel stagnation. Dynasty Warriors has entry, and they don't really change that much.
Warriors, but I love it so much.
Yeah,
because it's such a fun formula. But dude, you could just go Madden. That's even worse example because they literally don't change anything. Dynasty Warriors makes like little changes, but like Madden doesn't do anything. In fact, they use like old assets from like games like 3 years ago just to put something together. Right.
But you know what I'm talking about then. So.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So that's a good one. Let's see.
I kind of want one where like a series starts to take itself too seriously.
I'm sure we'll get there.
Like I'm thinking about Kingdom Hearts. Like the first one was like kind of a like whatever. And it was like fun hard or whatever. And then like they took themselves way too seriously going forward. Resident Evil did that as well.
Changing of the Guard, a sequel which features or focuses on different characters from the original artwork.
Force Awakens. Huh? Force Awakens, Changing the Guard, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Way in like a passing of the torch. I was thinking they take a character that was like in the side and was like, now he's the main character. You know?
I would hate that.
And they pass it on to someone that
sounds awful.
So have you seen any of the Insidious films? Is it not Insidious? What's the other big franchise that's not The Conjuring? Maybe it is Insidious.
It's one of those two, right?
I thought so, but there's another one that's very close. What's one? Those
are two big players.
Do you remember the Darth Maul looking demon?
That was Insidious.
That is Insidious?
That is
okay.
Insidious.
So Insidious, the fourth movie, they take a side character, and she's the main character of this one. She brings her sons in. They're also ghost hunters. So that's what I think of when it's changing of the guard. But you would argue it's like the soft reboot type thing where they're passing it on to the next generation.
Nowadays, I think that context makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Because people are obsessed with seeing that passing of the torch, I think. Or corporations are obsessed with that, essentially, because they want to keep the same magic, but like lazily. Just like, oh, look, your old favorite characters are condoning this, so that means like we're in the right?
Yeah.
But I think the old way of doing it was definitely like just pick a side character or something like
and
that,
then just like boom.
Yeah, interesting.
I agree with that. Cliffhanger wall. Instead of moving forward in the timeline, a series or franchise spends a few entries doing interquels and prequels instead, usually disregarding a sequel hook in the process. So, you seen Twin Peaks? Twin Peaks very much ends on a cliffhanger from season 2 to season 3. Okay. And the movie came out, and they were thinking like, okay, it's going to tie into this big cliffhanger. Yeah. And no, it was a full on prequel, and it was a movie that told basically the story of the show, what happened, the mystery, but through the eyes of the person, the victim. And so everyone was disappointed, Gotcha. So instead of finishing the story, they were like, let's go backwards and give somebody a story. Now, over time, the movies gain more appreciation, but back then they were like, "Let's tell a story nobody wants to hear."
Right, but eventually they came out with another season.
They did, like 30 years after the fact.
Wow.
But anyway, cliffhanger wall. You're thinking you're going to get a sequel, finishing the story.
Nope.
Like, nope, we're going backwards.
Nope.
Yeah. Let's see. Contested sequel. When fans disagree among themselves about the quality and or canon status of a sequel. Star Wars, the whole sequel trilogy now, everyone's like, not canon. Here's how bad it gets. They're waiting on Ahsoka to go to the edge of the Force and accidentally rewrite history.
I'm telling you, though, not that they would ever, it's not going to happen. Never
I agree.
Would do
Never.
It.
Never
However, all the crap they're doing with Marvel, it almost seems plausible.
Yeah. Y'all didn't see how the Marvels ended, but they're so late. We talked about this multiverse and why it's lazy.
Right.
They are being so lazy with this that they are literally going to open another dimension in Secret Wars and just have the X-Men clash with the Marvel universe and be like, oh, now the X-Men are here.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, and almost because here's the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like it in Rebels when they did it, but they did introduce time travel.
Yeah.
And they could very easily bring that back with Ahsoka. It was her one of her big arcs, or Ezra's arc, actually. They could so easily bring back Legends characters or just like rewrite the future, because currently none of the shows that have come out are alluding to the First Order like at all,
right?
Or like anything to do with that. They're talking about Ahsoka comes closest, I guess, or Mandalorian does, but like really they're going in kind of their Filoni direction, the Filoniverse as they call it. So either they're going to completely ignore it, or they're going to do something that's like really small, like allude to it. Maybe,
it's such a big time gap because the sequels take place however many years after the Return of the Jedi.
But if the sequels were more successful, there'd be hints of it everywhere. In this new series, everywhere. But
like they'd have introduced the Knights of Ren.
Oh yeah,
like all sorts of stuff. Like Snoke would be somewhere sitting in a floating tank.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing. But Ahsoka takes place like 10 years or 7 years after the Return of the Jedi, something like that. Whereas the First Order, the sequel trilogy, takes place 40 years after Return of the Jedi.
So I keep hearing that Mandalorian, the next season, quote unquote, Mandalorian is going to be a movie. I don't know if that's a rumor, if it's confirmed, but like that, Filoni said that, or Favreau, whoever, said that the end of Mandalorian will basically lead into the new series, but who knows what that actually means.
And, you're right, but is what it is.
But again, they're going to bring, I bet you anything that Filoni's going to bring back that freaking time travel gimmick again in the Ahsoka season 2.
Well, that's what everyone's speculating was like she's going to somehow find a way to undo the sequel trilogy. That's what people are hoping for.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing with season 1. Season 1, everyone was like, that's what's going to happen. Oh, they're totally going to.
I don't know. I think it'll be something, but it won't be nearly that big. Like they've sunk too much money into it. Like it's not going to happen.
Well, that's why every time you ask me is Snow White coming out, the answer is yes, because they'd have to admit they messed up and they're not going to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Disney
but also,
will never admit.
I thought about this recently. I'm like, because I was watching videos of like kids at Disney World. I'm like, honestly, I hate, and it's not just Star Wars fans, but like right now I was like, can they all just shut up? Like these kids are at least enjoying it. You know, whether you hate it or not, that's fine. But like these kids are enjoying the sequel trilogy stuff, you know, like that's their Star Wars right now. Like,
are they though? Because they didn't make a lot of money. How many kids actually went?
That's true. But I'm thinking about when I was a kid, you know, and I liked the prequels, and I got dunked on because I liked the prequels. I felt ashamed for saying that. I even like Jar Jar. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to do that to another. I don't want to do that to the next generation, you know, like, and all these kids, you know, they're growing up a little bit now to where they can comprehend. You know, Force Awakens came out a while ago. So that they're old enough now to comprehend like opinions and stuff like that. And all they're hearing is that, you know, the last generation is just hating on their generation. I'm like, I don't want to contribute to that.
Yeah, you know, it's
Star Wars do, you know, Disney do whatever the heck you want. I have my, you know, my headcanon. That's what I'm going to, you know, subscribe to. And that's all there is to it. How much time do we have?
About half an hour.
Okay. I know this is kind of a sidebar. It's going to be kind of a big one. Are you aware of the Suicide Squad game that came out?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like just for a story perspective, we need to talk about that a little bit.
Well, I haven't watched the story yet online now, but I have seen some spoilers.
Do you want to know like kind of the basis of what happens?
Sure.
Okay. Spoiler alert for Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
Disclaimer. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. Spoilers. My co-host is about to spoil the whole thing for you.
So I actually did watch most of the cutscenes, but
yeah, I'm going to.
The Arkham series, you know, one of my favorite game series, also just like so many people's favorite, the Arkham games, you know, that have revolutionized so much of, you know, just like combat, you know, and storytelling and like what people are able to do. Started with Batman Arkham Asylum, then City. Still love freaking City to death. Like I love
City's so good.
And Night, I even really liked Night.
I liked it, but it wasn't as good.
Wasn't as good as City, but like I still really like Night. Yeah. I even like Origins, right?
Yeah.
But they're doing this setup every single game to like something huge, and it happens at the end of Arkham Knight. You don't even know what it is, but it leaves the cliffhanger. Doors open, you know, to all, you know, whatever you want it to be.
Sure.
And Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League takes place in Arkham universe. I got worried because I was like, it doesn't look like Arkham at all, but hey, you know, like maybe it'll just be like a fun little nod, you know, and like an appreciation. No, it is legitimately the conclusion to the Arkham games.
Yep.
Like they make it so freaking clear. How do they do it? Oh, well, Nightmare Batman, who was introduced in the end of Arkham Knight.
I love that concept so much.
Well, they such an amazing concept. He uses freaking Scarecrow's fear toxin to carry on the legend of Batman.
Yeah.
So he dumps that apparently sometime after that and decides to join the Justice League, comes back as Batman. Like he just joined the Justice League. He was like, sorry guys, just kidding.
Yeah.
And then that's fine, whatever the heck.
Comics do that all the time.
It's years,
you know what I mean?
But
I know.
Comics do it.
Don't get me wrong.
This is a continuing story.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Then Brainiac takes over and brainwashes all the Justice League members. And it's like, okay, this is an interesting concept, including Batman.
Right.
And then the characters you play as, I get it. They're actually playing their characters quite well. They're being very quippy, but they have no like emotional connection to these characters that they're murdering.
Yeah.
They do end up killing every Justice League member. I didn't think they'd go through with it, but they do actually kill all of them, including Batman. In the most just...
I saw what happened there.
Humiliate. Like, here's the thing. I'm not even opposed to Batman dying, but like...
Not at all.
Literally... Harley Quinn just makes a couple quips and shoots him in the face with his hand out on his back. I'm like...
And she essentially shot the franchise in the face.
Legitimately.
Everything you loved about the Arkham games, gone.
Like, and here's the thing. Justice League in an Arkham universe. That sounds amazing, but it's like, nah, we're just going to make it like... That's the thing. They're just joking the whole time. Like, it's like Marvel humor. James Gunn kind of humor is probably what they're going for. The entire time, it never stops. And you never feel an emotional weight. And then at the very end, towards the very end, not towards the end, they kind of introduced this multiverse in the Arkham series.
My favorite.
But
that means it's not the same Arkhamverse where the games are
No, this
cool.
is the actual Arkhamverse.
Multiverse.
No, shut up. Here's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They said they tease it because they bring Lex Luthor from multiverse whatever
Right. Stupid.
to this one.
I was already pissed.
I'm
when
like, because
did
they
that.
killed Lex Luthor. Oh my god, that's cool. No, just kidding.
Multiverse Luthor.
Yeah, it's like he's
Bro,
like,
how cool would it have been had the real Lex Luthor teamed up with the Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
But no.
And you saw they added the season pass Joker, like a multiverse Joker. That
like
was
yeah, because that wasn't one of the biggest moments in all of Arkham series was
Right.
Joker's death. No,
multiverse Joker. He's back and he's not as cool.
He's weaker. Like he's just like they even say in like his trailer, he's not like as wild as the last Joker. I'm like, that's a good trait.
How cool would it have been? Now games don't do this.
Yeah.
Okay, this would be a tough one. How cool would it have been to use the Arkhamverse Joker? Okay, and he's playable up to a certain point, but since it's the Arkhamverse Joker, where he's so unpredictable, like he's not a lesser, he is the Mark Hamill, maybe not even Mark Hamill, but if we're gonna go the Arkhamverse route and it's gonna crap on the legacy of the games, let's go the route. Like let's have that Joker be on the Suicide Squad. Okay, sorry, the unalived squad. I'm just kidding. No, I'm joking.
Nice,
but have that happen, but have it to a certain point in the story where he goes crazy and now he's a boss that the other team has to pick up
Caleb,
where they left off.
That's almost slightly interesting. We can't do that.
No.
So here's the thing. The Arkham series are like considered art to a lot of people. Their story alone. And you know, the characters, like the voice acting, everything. This game was a complete cash grab, and they didn't want it to be. Like this corporations took over. And it's a games for service. It's a live service game, which means they wanted to continue for like years and years. Well, just like, you know, draining money from you essentially. Well, at the very end, when they realize, I'm telling you, this is the tail end of the game, they say, oh my God, there's not one Brainiac. I'm not joking, 13 Brainiacs. We got to beat them all. And the game literally ends by them killing the first Brainiac and saying, well, we got to wait for the next 12.
You're joking.
Not joking. 13 Brainiacs.
You mean
the sentence comes out. There are 13 Brainiacs. How do we kill them all?
And they're all multiverse Brainiacs?
They're all multiverse Brainiacs. And guess what? The Brainiac that they fight, the final boss of the game, you know what he does? He takes the form of Flash. And that's it. The boss you already beat, the first boss you beat, he takes the form of Flash. Because apparently the rest of the Brainiacs are going to be different dark versions of the Justice League you already fought.
That's horrible.
And people are thinking, oh, here's what they're going to do. They're going to undo the deaths of the Justice League at the very end. Like, it's exactly what they're going to do. Which is so freaking blatantly obvious. But even if they do, it doesn't matter. They killed the Justice League. You know, they killed Batman in like the worst way possible. And I'm just like, what? Like, it's so terrible. I mean, like, you know, I'm not gonna let it get to me. I still have the Arkham games. You know, like those are so great. But I'm just like, and I love Arkham Knight Hank leaving on that note.
Yeah. How cool would it have been to fight Nightmare Batman? How cool would that have been? That would have been sick. Instead of like, never mind.
You could have made that concept crazy.
I have friends now.
I don't even hate the idea of a Suicide Squad game and the fact that they're killing Justice League. That's pretty cool.
That was a great concept.
But like
executed very poorly. You know?
Yeah, no. And luckily everyone's saying it. That was not Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman.
Right. No, he actually has some animated projects coming up.
So like and that's perfect. Yeah. That's absolutely perfect. I'm just like,
did you see that they accidentally left a line in the game that spoiled who the next Suicide Squad member was?
No.
So there's a point when they fight Brainiac, which I didn't know this, but thanks for telling me. When I said it was just the Flash again. There's a part where he says, "Nice try, Freeze." They forgot to cut that line out. So guess who's coming in the season pass?
Wow.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman. So they were like, shoot. So of course, hardcore. There are groups, gamer groups, dedicated towards crapping on a franchise, especially when a game comes out and it sucks. Starfield has this problem too, where now there are dedicated groups, people dedicated to finding flaws, so that someone was paying attention. There's a part where he's like, "Nice try, Freeze," and so like, well, great.
You'll never save Nora.
Yeah, and they accidentally spoiled that they're about to put Freeze in as a playable character. So
dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like on the topic of tropes and stuff, and just like diluting, you know, sequels and sequelitis. Honestly, man, like just that was a subject of corporate greed, but also just talk about
the game,
not just like hurting a franchise, but legitimately going out of your way to just ruin it. Like, why? You know, like, I don't know. Like, again, if you want it to be in the Arkham year at first, that's fine. Put like little references, you know, here and there, and like leave it up to interpretation, not just this is what happened and why. Yeah. And then like there's a scene where they find a hologram of Batman. It's Kevin Conroy doing one of his like famous speeches, you know, talking to the Bat family.
I am the Knight.
And they had just found Batman or Robin's mask, indicating that he killed the Bat family, which is crazy. But they think it's funny to fast forward and rewind his message over and over again. Like they're just joking around. I'm like, yeah, that's what these characters would do, but it's not what the audience like is wanting right now. Like,
yeah, we don't need to hear that.
Yeah,
you just told us that our favorite Batman games are they're null and void.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the Suicide Squad come in and are like, let's keep hurting our fan base.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what killed the game, because the game debuted to half the numbers that Marvel's Avengers had. Did you see that?
No. Yeah. That's awful.
Marvel's Avengers was the same concept live service that was supposed to be have content added over time. People were supposed to keep playing. Failed, shut down. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League debuted with half the player numbers. And that was their peak, and now it's down. So we're not going to get the 12 other Brainiacs, unfortunately. Right, but
like say that they said it with a straight face. No one even made a joke about there being 13 Brainiacs. It's like 13 Brainiacs, that makes sense. Like
dumb? Does anyone say
Here's
dumb?
the thing. In any other story, DC comic book, Marvel story, they'd be like 13. How do we kill them all at once? No.
Yeah.
Let's train up. You know, we're gonna have to train really hard to kill every single one of them.
We're gonna have to wait till season 12 to fight the 13th one. You know, so. But I'll tell you what killed the game was the live service model.
Oh yeah,
if it was
and
just
everyone knew that.
Yeah, if it was as soon as they revealed it,
because this game got leaked to crap. You know, like so everyone knew what it was going to be way before it launched. That's why the player numbers were so low, because everyone knew it was going to be. And then they couldn't. They delayed the game for a year to fix it, quote unquote. But
they couldn't. Because the basis of the game was live service. You can't just you can't.
Yeah.
You'd have to start over.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
But no, they could have made it just like a little spin-off game, but no, they made it a main title that continues the story. So that's passing of the torch for you.
Yeah. Here we go. First installment wins. Moving on. A piece of media receives one or many sequels, but the original is the one everybody loves and remembers.
Like every film ever.
Every Ghostbusters, every Home Alone, all of it. With every sequel, everyone's like, not as good as the first one.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much.
It's a darn shame.
Everything.
Yeah. Let's see. Happy ending override. Sequel starts out with the previous victory, negated, and things much worse than when they began.
Mortal Kombat 2. The second movie, they killed Johnny Cage
immediately.
I
can't believe that's the one you went with.
It's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah. No. Oh, I had one. Terminator. Everything after Terminator 2. Literally.
I would say Terminator 1 ends on a happy note.
It does end on a happy note?
It doesn't. It's like a kind of like.
But Terminator 2 does. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. You meant 2 to 3. Yeah. You're
2 to 3, 2 to what's the one we talked about to death? The one I didn't see, but it still tried to summarize.
Generosis. I don't know.
Dark Fate. Literally Dark Fate. They CGI'd all the characters back to where they were in 2, Terminator, and then shot them in the face.
Yeah.
Pew-pewed them in the face. Sorry, audience. Please, YouTube. Don't mind.
Caleb, I'm gonna quit if you keep this.
What?
I hate this because you keep going back and forth to make up your mind.
I'm sorry. I'm a hypocrite. I'm putting the hippo back in hypocrite.
Nice.
Franchise zombie. Franchise lasts longer than the author intended for. We say author here, but that's obviously in related to books. But we Back to the Future. He's like, one movie, really cool. And like, no, we want 2 more.
You need more.
Home Alone, probably the same thing. I would argue probably every franchise was like, this is a good movie, and then they were like, we want 8 more of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some franchises.
Now, like most franchises nowadays only stick to 3, but back then, like in the 90s, early 2000s, they're like, you need 1 million of these things.
Hellraiser franchise. I don't know if it with Pinhead.
Yeah. What, there 7, 8 films?
There's like 9, 10, 11. There's a ton. Okay.
I've
Resident Evil.
One, yeah.
I promise you, they were like 3 max. You know what I mean?
Was there 5, 4 or 5?
There's like 7, dude.
No, not really. Are you talking about the movies?
Yeah, the movies.
No, you're wrong. I think it's only like 4. if anything, there's not 7 of them. You're lying. You're fibbing.
I hate to burst your bubbles, sir.
No. How many are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You counting the animated ones?
I'm counting the reboot. No, they're all live action here. They're all directed by the same guy. Yeah, except for the last one. So there's 6 main films, and then there's a reboot. I don't know if you want to count the reboot, but I would. It's a movie.
Sure, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, 7.
Because it's way more than I thought it was anyway. So
There's Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Afterlife, Retribution, the final chapter, and then of course
and then the final chapter.
and then there's just Welcome to Raccoon City.
Wait, the same guy directed that one? The new one?
No, the new one is a new person. That's supposed to be reboot.
I wouldn't count that one then. So there's 6.
How dare you?
Well, only because it's a completely different idea franchise. They're trying to make.
Let's see. It's the same franchise, sir.
No, I'm talking about movie franchise.
Let's go here. Mila Jovovich portrayed Alice in all the 6 original films. But let's see if they do the Alice character, then I will. Okay. I will have to argue you're incorrect.
Okay. If they do Alice, yes.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be the same cast. I promise you.
No, because they do the actual video game cast. I think.
Oh goodness, Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine, Chris.
They basically what they did was they merged Resident Evil 1 and 2 stories into the movie.
Okay. I wonder if it was any good. Probably not. But
no, here's the thing.
Please, spoilers.
I actually really wish they would just make a standard Resident Evil 1 movie. The merging it with 2 actually kind of makes sense. But what they did is they spread too much thing. But imagine the mansion. What they could do with it. The idea. I'm like, yes, do that. That's not hard at all.
No, I do agree with you on that. So 1 second. So franchise zombie, Resident Evil, literally zombies. So nice. There's a bunch. I bet you 99% of sequels weren't even planning to exist, and that's why this not the same cast, not the same director, because they were like, we're done.
How many Jurassic Park films were there? 4? Before the reboot?
Do you want to include the reboot?
Before the reboot,
3.
Okay, I thought there was a 4th one. Okay, I could be wrong.
I mean, I'm sure there's a direct to dumpster entry.
I love how every sequel to that they get a returning cast member. They can't afford more than one,
right?
To be they signed off on this.
Did you ever see the Caddyshack movies?
Mm-mm.
Okay, there's Caddyshack, which has Chevy Chase and all those guys from that era. Mm-hmm. The second one has just Chevy Chase, and his role is so downplayed to one scene or something. Caddyshack 2. So funny. They grabbed a character that's not as funny, and the sequel sucks. But he goes to a bar, and there's Chevy Chase.
Yeah, it's like getting Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park 2 to do one thing.
Did you like the second one?
Not especially.
Yeah. No, it's better than what came after, but I'm with you. It's not that. But Steven Spielberg was on it, and he tried. He wanted to make a good follow up, and it's not the worst thing ever. There's that scene where the girl does gymnastics and kicks off the raptor out the window. Dumb. Hey! But even he admits I was dumb, right? So iconic sequel song. A song introduced in the sequel rises to become iconic. Rocky, when he's training montages, iconic now. I put that on when the one time a year I lift weights.
It almost feels manipulative at this point, though.
Really?
If after 6 films. When they play the Rocky theme, it feels just super manipulative.
Well,
it had its moment in the first 2 films.
Maybe.
And then it's this is the training moment. Yeah. And that's Rocky in a nutshell.
I know.
It's the same movie repeatedly.
You're not wrong, but they always did what the Rocky movies are just building up to a fight, with the exception of Rocky 5, and that's why it sucked. But before that, what they did in lieu of telling an original story was come up with a better villain, different villain each time. By the time you get to Rocky 4, Rocky isn't just fighting a Russian. He's fighting the Cold War with his fists. He single-handedly ends the divide.
What a freaking world we used to live in where that was legitimately a real thing.
Yeah. You think I'm joking when I describe these.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, all right. Immediate sequel. A sequel where the plot picks up immediately after the previous part.
Back to the Future did that pretty well.
The Alien franchise did that too.
Oh, really? I haven't seen Aliens.
Any of Aliens? Have you seen Alien?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Aliens. I'm trying to remember, but it's essentially when she goes into sleep, she gets picked up by the cast of the second movie. Gotcha. And then they go like that. The third one too. Oh, yeah. At the beginning of the third one, everyone that escaped the second movie died.
Do you actually like it if there's time gap? I mean, I guess it depends on the story, but
right.
Do you prefer there to be a time gap or right when they pick off, like John Wick?
Well, since you brought it up, let me see if that is probably one of the tropes. Let me see. They're in alphabetical order. Time, title, tone shift. No. Huh. Your princess is in another castle.
Yeah. Nice.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like time gaps. I like time skips.
I like to see how the characters change, like almost like being surprised by it. Because like I feel like it's really hard to make a character grow continuously.
Yeah.
For 3 films, say they pick up one after the other. It's very hard to make a character grow, that because typically it's only in the matter of days in their world. But like to put like a year-long time gap, like Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi, he's a very much changed person.
Yeah.
From the first film to the last film, like he's definitely grown a lot. And there's been a couple years, since then.
Yeah.
I think Force Awakens, Last Jedi takes place like a week or so after Force Awakens, so there's not a whole lot of change there. But also like John Wick, it works for John Wick because why would there be a time gap? Why would he go out of fighting, and then come back, right? So some stories it works out, but most part I think I actually prefer there to be a time gap.
Yeah. So now sometimes it's done worse than others, right? Obviously, but
it explains the aging, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I hate to keep bringing up beating this dead horse. Sorry, beating this unalived horse. Sorry, I know you're gonna quit.
Just one more.
Yeah, just one more joke gets out of here. Work with me, audience. The Terminator franchise keeps doing that, where they'll start off where de-aged Arnold, and it actually looks all right for some of the movies, and then time jump, and now he's old.
And they lose their budget.
Yeah, and then he's old. But time jump, I'm not okay when it's like they'll start off the movie like again, Dark Fate shot John Connor in the face, and then the time jump. Yeah, we just have to deal with it. It's like I'm still recovering, and then they still
no breather. There was no breather.
Yeah, no breather. That we need the scene where she's like, "Oh no," and then has a beach episode.
Yeah, she goes to the beach like, "Well, I'm just gonna sit here in the sand."
Yeah, and then like Arnold shows up, and he's like, he takes his shirt off. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah. But no, not a thing. Legend fades to myth. People having a skewed memory of a previous installment in the sequel. That's not going to include Ghostbusters 2 because they just ignored the first movie. But like, think of like the first movie happens by the second one, probably a time jump, and everyone's like, I don't remember. Yeah. But think of like Force Awakens when Han Solo is like, it's true. All of it. He's talking about the Force. Yeah. But it's like legend. Yeah. Or she's like, you're Han Solo. You're legendary. Like stuff like that.
I actually really like that stuff.
I like that too. And that goes with the passing of the torch, So
I like it when a film takes place, kind of like Force Awakens did a little bit. Yeah. I don't even like I like it when maybe one character returns. Yeah. One, maybe two, but one. I know Clone Wars did it really well with Rebels. Mm-hmm. But like a long time has passed, like 30 plus years or something. And yeah, legitimately, just like that, like the events of the first film are like talked about. Games do it too. Yeah. And I like it then. Sure. When like, say your character does something and then the next game you're playing as another character and they're just learning about the things that your previous character did. I'm like, that's good world building. I like that. Yeah. Like that establishment, Yeah. It's really cool. It's like fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Meeting the Parents sequel where one of the protagonists is mommy and daddy are introduced.
Could just Meet the Fockers count?
I would
because the first one was Meet the Parents, but the second one they're meeting his parents.
I can't believe it. So did that start what this is talking about, the trope?
No, because Meet the Parents was the original film. It would have to be a sequel like the Santa Claus movies where they bring in the parents, like to add that layer of hilarity.
That's so dumb.
It's definitely like for laughs most of the time.
It's hard enough introducing my fiance's parents to my parents. Why would I want to watch a movie?
Or Spy Kids 2 or Spy Kids 3. When
we don't talk about those. Now I'm about to walk off.
I love those movies. You shut up. I will watch those right now. Shark Boy and Lava Girl as well. Put them all on a marathon.
If you put them on in the 5 minutes, I will walk out of here.
I will fight you. Those films are
I'm
great.
joking. I actually kind of like those. No. Mission Pack sequel. Same game, different levels. Doom. Say the Doom games do this.
Same. Well, yeah. Probably.
Same level pack. Same game, just new levels. Same thing. God of War does it too.
I don't know. Are you talking? Okay, you're talking about the Doom reboot. The reboot.
Yeah.
No, dude. The second one added way more than the first one had.
Different levels.
No, we're talking about
more guns.
You get the freaking Crucible, which is an awesome new way. They give you a new way to use your chainsaw where it's not like so, not so readily available. You get the grappling hook shotgun.
Sure.
Like you get more mobility.
But at the
you get
heart
more
of
abilities. No, you could say that about so many things.
But that's a trope. That's why it's a trope.
No.
I agree with you. You could say it about so many
No.
things.
You're talking about what that's talking about is like original Doom games where like it's Doom 2, 1, 2, where legitimately it's the same exact everything.
Because the
And
same
different
principle
levels.
applies to Mortal Kombat, where they're all the same essentially, but different levels, different characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, more so probably.
That even ties into more diverse sequel. A sequel is more inclusive than its predecessor. By MK11, or say MK9 to MK10, there's a lot more diverse characters now. You know what I mean? So, no. Non-linear sequel. The sequel doesn't take place after the first story.
What does it do?
Well, to me, that sounds like the one we just did, where it's the same title but different everything. You know,
I thought, is it talking about a film that takes place at the same time of the previous film?
it doesn't say that. It just says doesn't take place after the first story. So non-linear. So maybe it's the same story, just different order. You know, prequel. I don't know.
Mid to quill.
Yeah, maybe. Numbered sequels. When a sequel title has a number. Mission Impossible 2, 3, 4, 5, 28. Rocky 7.
Yeah, I love how like the people taking themselves seriously drop that like really quickly. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get Dune 2, or you're not gonna get Avatar 2. Oh, wait a minute, they did that.
I like this one. Oddly named sequel 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo.
The actually Electric Boogaloo is
I feel like we hit that one last time.
I don't think we did, but I've made jokes about it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
throughout
true.
the whole course of this show. But that's because it's like it's a real thing. You know, it just has a weird. I can't think of any other movies though that do it. You know,
Jaws 3Ds.
I guess
Something like that.
but I know what you mean.
You get the idea.
Yeah. Refusal of the second call. The hero of the original is available to save the day again in the sequel, but refuses to help.
Okay, yeah, I hate that.
Trying to think of Rambo, where he's like in prison serving his time for the first movie, and then he's like, "Hey, we could use you," and he's like, "No."
It's like, please, maybe.
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, they usually say yes, right?
At the end, when they needed them most, they vanished.
Running the asylum, hired fans turned fanon into canon.
Yep.
What's that?
I'm aware of this.
The heck is that?
Basically, it's either the example of fans essentially waiting out to the point where they can actually take over the franchise, like if they actually get into the industry, or
you mean behind the scenes production?
yes, or it gets to the point where their fandom actually gets so in depth that it actually becomes like almost unofficial canon.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool. All right.
There's sometimes when like fans will create something and creators will be like, yeah, that's true. Like that's what happened.
Let's see. Sequel reset. The resolution from the first story is undone for the sequel. All the Terminator movies after 2.
Yeah.
Soft reboot. Both the sequel, prequel, or some extension of a canon, and a partial reboot. Star Wars. Force
Yeah,
Awakens, Jurassic World.
I'm actually leaning more. I mean, I used to like soft reboots. Now I'm kind of leaning towards. I kind of wish there were more hard reboots.
Yeah. I mean,
Because like soft
Indiana
reboot,
Jones.
Terminator's soft reboot.
Yeah.
Think about it. Indiana Jones, kind of a soft reboot, I
Yeah.
guess. But are they rebooting the franchise?
Well, at the end of the fourth one, they teased Mutt taking over, and then nothing. And they talked about it. I know that for sure. Same thing with this last one. If it was a big hit, I promise you that girl would be wearing the same hat.
Oh, you're right.
You know what I mean?
So I guess it would be like a soft
Right.
reboot.
Yeah, passing of the torch.
Yeah, for that reason, I'm more inclined for hard reboots
Yeah.
nowadays. I used to think differently.
Well, let's wrap up here with 2 more. I like this one. You already brought it up. Third is 3D. The third installment in a series is filmed in 3D films or undergoes a video game 3D leap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spy Kids, Jaws 3D, every cartoon where they're playing paddleball and the ball's coming straight
You're just
at
saying
you.
about that's just Spy Kids again. You're talking about Spy Kids, aren't you?
No.
Yeah.
Have you seen Mars Needs Moms? Anyway. All right. Last one. Your princess is in another castle. It looks like the story or arc has ended. Then another world villain problem appears.
Yeah.
I love that one. Well, guys, got to get wrapped up. Got to pull up another shift and pay off this honeymoon.
We?
Sorry, me. Yeah, you want to come with me?
Sure.
We could use you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get paid though.
Unfortunately. I need it. Yeah.
Well, guys, we love you. Thanks for joining us this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this time that we got to spend together. Thanks for wasting an hour with us on the Third Wheel Podcast, where we are voted best thing to do is turn us on and walk away.
You know what? I appreciate y'all so much. Caleb appreciates you, but most of all, God appreciates you. Thank
Jesus.
you. And Jesus beat up Moses for me.
Oh, you got this, Jesus. All right, we love you guys. See y'all next time.